Christmas, the time of giving, the time of love. Sometimes the best time of the year can take an unexpected turn. Join the three of us as we share with you 3 blood-chilling Christmas stories.
This happened to my sister when she was 13 years old. She said that it was alright if I share her story. It happened on Christmas Eve. Ever since this incident, my sister has not enjoyed the Christmas holidays like everyone else. I should also mention that my parents are divorced, and during this experience, my sister and I were at my mum's house, and at the time she was single, so it was just us 3 in the house. Christmas Eve was going normally. We were listening to Christmas songs, making cookies for Santa, and my sister and I were attempting to wrap our presents to our cousins. It got quite late, and we were all excited to go to bed. So we set our cookies out for Santa, and my sister and I went into our rooms to go to sleep. Not too long after we went to our beds, we heard a man come into the house. He was talking to our mum, and it sounded normal, like a non-threatening conversation as far as we could hear, and our mum definitely invited him inside. After we heard them talking, they eventually became quiet, and I heard nothing else until the following morning. My sister's night went differently though. She says that later in the middle of the night, she awoke and saw the man standing in her room, going through her dresser drawers. She was terrified and didn't say a word. She said that she assumed the man was looking for her underwear, but wasn't positive. After watching him for a few minutes, she says he turned around and walked towards her. At this time she closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep out of fear. My sister says that she just lay there. She could hear the man stop next to her bed, and for the longest time she could hear him breathing, and that she could just feel him looking down at her, thinking that at any second he might touch her. Thankfully he never did. She says that he must have stood above her for at least 10 minutes before he finally left the room. The next morning I heard her crying, and my mum comforting her. We found out that he was a man my mum was seeing, and he must have left her bedroom in the middle of the night when she fell asleep. Needless to say, my mum called the police, but nothing ever happened to him. It still scared my sister to death, and on every Christmas Eve now, she sleeps in my mum's room.
Something very creepy happened to me on Christmas. I had celebrated the holiday that morning with my family and went to see my parents. On Christmas night, I had to go into work to finish a proposal I was working on for a new potential client. I obviously didn't want to go into work, but it had to be finished. I worked in a building downtown that is fairly close to a few nightclubs and bars. My office is on the 23rd floor, and in my position, I have an office, but most of this floor is filled up with cubicles in the middle. My office is in the far corner next to my boss's, so to get to my office I have to walk by all the cubicles. I didn't get there late, probably around 8 or 9, but there was nobody else there. This was my second time going in alone, and it was peaceful. If I let my imagination run wild, however, I would get spooked easily. As I walked the path next to the cubicles, I was reminded of what I was missing at home while looking at all the Christmas lights strung up, decorating people's workspaces. There were no lights on, but it was lit up enough by all these Christmas lights. I reached my office and unlocked it. I went inside but didn't close the door. My computer and desk faced away from my door, so I couldn't see anyone that approached my door on work days through the huge glass window that I had. I found this very annoying, as I never knew who was knocking until I got up and opened the door. I sat down and began working as quickly as possible so I could get back home. After a while, I'd say about an hour into it, I heard the main entrance door close. I didn't hear it open, but when it closed, it made a noise that was unmistakable. I wasn't spooked at this point, just curious as to who else was unlucky enough to have to come in and finish something. I got up from my desk and walked out onto the floor. I looked around, but didn't see anybody. I said loudly, "Hello?" Nobody responded. At this moment, I got paranoid and freaked out because I definitely heard the main entrance door close. Somebody was either here and then left, or was still in here with me and not responding. I was just about to turn around and get back to work and brush it off when I saw a head sticking up out of a cubicle on the opposite side of the floor, looking at me. I could see that it was a man, but couldn't make out any details of his face. I thought he must be messing with me, so I shouted over to him, "What a time to have to come in, eh?" Hoping whoever it was would stand up and laugh, but they didn't. The man didn't move, and this scared the shit out of me. So I tried again. I said, "I can see you, guy." He didn't move. I wasn't sure what to do next, and was scared shitless by now, so I felt through my pocket for my keys, and they were there. I started walking down the path toward the entrance door, the whole time watching this guy. As I was walking, I think he was watching me. I looked over at the entrance door for a second, just one damn second, and looked back. He was gone. After seeing this, I thought, oh my god, he could be moving over to me. So I jogged the rest of the way to the door and went through it. I jogged over to the elevator and hit the button. I turned around quickly, and the entrance door closed as it made the same noise as before. The elevator door, thankfully, opened immediately, and I went inside and hit the first floor button. The door closed, and I didn't see the guy come out the entrance door. I drove home and told my wife what happened. I had to call my boss and tell him as well, so I had a reason for not finishing my proposal that night. He was understanding, and I went back in 2 days later with everyone else. I never found out who that guy was, or what that was all about. Nothing was stolen or tampered with to my knowledge.
Hello everyone. I have a really creepy Christmas story to tell you. This happened to me when I was 20 years old, and my girlfriend and I were staying in a huge cabin that my parents rented in Reno. They weren't using it at this time, so my girlfriend and I invited 2 of our friends to come along with us. Once we were settled in, we had the most amazing time. We sat in the hot tub on the balcony, drank like fish, and smoked pot. We had been there for 2 days now, and the creepiest thing happened on our second night there. 3 days before Christmas, we were all sitting in the hot tub relaxing, when the lights inside the cabin went out. And I mean, they all went out, and we were scared as hell. We didn't assume it was just a power outage, as the lights on the back patio were still on. Just the lights inside the cabin suddenly turned off. I got out of the hot tub, and so did my buddy John. We headed inside to see what was going on, but we had been drinking quite a bit, and honestly, it was kind of exciting. As we opened the sliding glass door, John whispered to me that he was scared. We both laughed, but tried to be tough and fearless in front of the girls. As we walked inside into the kitchen area, we didn't see or hear anything, so we both walked upstairs. When we got up there, we walked into the master bedroom, and that's when we heard my girlfriend scream, "There's somebody in there!" John and I froze, and real terror set in. We slowly walked to the window, and looked down on the girls, who were now standing up in the hot tub. In a quiet voice I shouted down, "Not funny." They looked up and freaked out. "We're not playing. We saw somebody moving there." John and I turned around and walked out of the room extremely slowly, scared to death. We started walking down the stairs, and when we reached the bottom, we looked around, saw nothing, and went back onto the back patio. John suggested we circle around to the front of the cabin and just leave. We all agreed, and started walking to the side of the cabin. As we were walking by the huge window on the side of the cabin, I shit you not, all of us at the same time screamed when we saw somebody run down the stairs and out the back door that we had just walked out of. We all sprinted to the front of the cabin, not looking back, and thank God John had grabbed his car keys. We got inside and backed up down the driveway, which was steep as hell. It was snowing, cold, and completely dark. This whole experience was a lot scarier than it sounds. We backed down to the road and started driving down the road. John's date had her phone and called the police. They showed up there and helped us check the place out. Nobody was there, and they eventually left. We were all so damn spooked, though, that we just packed up our stuff and drove home.
Thank you so much for watching. I want to give a very special thank you to Killer Orange Cat and Mortis Media for joining me in this special collaboration. This holiday season, be with the ones you love, give selflessly, and don't take what you have for granted, because after all, horror can take place anytime, anywhere. Merry Christmas, everyone.